in light of high failure rates. The operative words and phrases are reduce, difficulty, and failure rates. Let's zero in on the term reduce. According to the Oxford Dictionary, reduce means to make smaller or less in amount, degree, or size. We're not asking for the bar of academic standards to be lowered.
Points of information.
Taken.
Why are you neglecting the negative connotations of the word reduce? It means to lower, to make less or less desirable.
Thank you for that question. Great question. All right, let me reiterate the meaning that I shared. So reduce means to make smaller or less, as you just stated as well. So that's what it is. Thank you. We're not asking for the bar of academic standards to be lowered, but rather for it to be placed at a height where children can reasonably reach it based on their developmental stages. Difficulty, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, is the fact of not being easy to do or understand. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary states that failure rate measures the frequency at which a system, component, or process fails over a specific period. My esteemed opponents, there should be no misconceptions after such a breakdown of the mood. At the end of this debate, we will all be moving from beginners to highly proficient by developing a reasonable argument, advancing our critical thinking, and promoting our mental ability. We, the government, are here to reduce the difficulty of PEP exam because let's face it, folks, our children are fighting battles they're not equipped to win.
Point of information, where is the proof that our children are actually fighting these battles?
Accent. Where is it?
Where is the proof that our children are actually fighting these battles?
All right, I will address that further on if you give me a chance. We, the government, are here to reduce the difficulty of the PEP exam. Let's face it, folks. Our children are fighting battles they're not equipped to win. And the numbers tell the story better than I ever could. The pass rates are less than impressive. And with failure rates so high, you could hang your laundry on them and have space left over. No, let's talk numbers. For mathematics, in 2019, 47% passed, 57% in 2023, and 60% in 2024. For language arts in 2019, 55% passed, 60% in 2023, and 67% in 2024. Science in 2019, 49% passed, 64% in 2023, and 70% in 2024. Social studies in 2019, 63% passed, 67% in 2023, and 72% in 2024.
Point of information.
Not thinking. The statistics don't lie. Since the introduction of PEP, we've seen failure rates that cast a long shadow over the predecessors, the Common Entrance and the GSAT. The Common Entrance was the big bad wolf of exams, with its notorious focus on critical thinking, causing many students to fail because it only assessed two areas, mathematics and language arts. As a result, the Common Entrance was scrapped, and the GSAT was introduced, offering a more comprehensive and balanced approach across 5 subject areas. But even with great intentions, somehow we have disguised PEP as Common Entrance 2.0. As we say in Jamaica, make that make sense now? Or the maths and maths at all. Our opponents may say PEP has improved over the years. Yes, we applaud progression, but that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing the difficulty. So admittedly, it has increased, but that does not differ from the level of difficulty the tests are set at. And we focus on the passing grades of students. What about those who fail? Are we comfortable setting the ship sail, regardless of stranded children on the docks? It seems as if C's and D's are the new A, when since we became comfortable with mediocrity. I got 50%, yay! She might kill me. Again, let's talk numbers, because frankly, the numbers don't lie. The 2024 PEP6 results revealed that for math, out of the 30,302 students who sat this exam, 55% were proficient, 5% highly proficient, 33% developing, and and 7% beginning. Whilst a little over half of the student population have achieved proficiency, Madam Moderator, my worthy opposition, we cannot glide over the fact that 40% are still between beginning and developing. Colleagues in the seat of opposition, what does developing and beginning means? Let me assist you with edification. According to the National Standard Curriculum, beginning level demonstrates limited or no evidence of the required competence at the grade 6 level. These students will need intensive and ongoing academic support in grade 7. A similar trend was observed for language arts passes with 61% proficient, 5% highly proficient, 30% developing, and 4% beginning. That's 34% of our 30,302 students who will need remedial help at high school level.
Thank you.
We thank the first proposition speaker for her presentation. We now call upon the first opposition speaker from Case to present their material.
Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, my worthy opponents, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to you all. Having listened to the proposition's first speaker, I have a pivotal question. When was this research done to prove that this specific difficulty is the cause of the high failure rate? For the proposition members to argue for such a major policy decision, they need empirical evidence to prove that the difficulty of the exam is in fact the cause of the high failure rate. I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that such a major change cannot be made on just the whims and fancies of stakeholders. It does not matter the prominent position that they hold, but rather what we require is thorough research, study. This is the era of data-driven decision-making. In fact, phrase, and I quote, correlation is not causation, end quote, is well known among researchers and is quite fitting here. My opponents, you would have to hold other possible factors that could contribute to the high failure rates constant to prove that the difficulty of the exam is the problem, since that is what we want to reduce. We find your argument lacking. Most honorable judges, the opposition finds the proposal to reduce the difficulty of the exam problematic. What does PEP represent? Let me highlight you. P for primary, E for exit, and the final P for profile. By using a three-dimensional approach, we will prove that reducing the difficulty is too simplistic, a quick fix for the challenges some stakeholders have with the PEP exam. We will interrogate this proposal by applying the same acronym, PEP, to provide a cohesive argument against reducing the difficulty of the PEP exam. As per speaker, my focus is on the first P in PEP, that is primary, where I will explain the key concepts of PEP. My second speaker will address the E in PEP, and exit from the primary to the secondary system, and finally, my third speaker will reiterate our main points for the ultimate profile of a PEP student. Ladies and gentlemen, my focus on the P in PEP includes two claims. Claim 1, weak definitions, and claim 2, ambiguous PEP argument. Judges, on to my first point. To argue well, you need to be reasonable. No problems with the proposition's definition of difficulty. However, the concept of reducing the difficulty level refers to item analysis and educational testing and measurement of questions, that is, the difficulty index. The proposition is putting the cart before the horse. They are recommending a reduction in the difficulty of the PEP exam before it has even been through rigorous analysis of test items. Dr. Veronica Reed Johnson, the lead consultant at VRJ Educational Consultants, concluded on her online seminar, her online YouTube seminar just 6 months ago on May 8, 2024. And I quote, "There is not a lot of data on PEP because PEP is new." End quote. My opponents, these are not my words. The common entrance exam.
Why would you say PEP is new?
PEP is the new exam.
So what do you consider to be
Sorry, it's not a conversation. My opponents, these are not my words. The common entrance exam was from 1958 to 1999. That is 41 years of multiple reviews. GSAT was from 1999 to 2018. That is 19 years. And now PEP, 2018 to current 2024. 6 years. And with no post-assessment on the curriculum, going right back to updated information. Ladies and gentlemen, on to my second claim, ambiguous PEP argument. The major problem with the prepositions argument is the lack of clarity in how they have outlined the difficulty of the PEP exam. PEP is not a one-off exam, so they need to specify where this difficulty exists. Is it at grade 4, grade 5, or grade 6? It is imperative that we mention PEP's constructivist underpinning in order to clarify its purpose for this argument. Note the meaning of constructivist methodology. Other educational philosophers such as Lev Vygotsky and Jean Piaget, PEP aims for student-centeredness, real-life experiences, learning by doing, or project-based rather than rote or memorized learning. According to the website of the Ministry of Education and Youth, PEP is a series of assessments that replace the grade 6 achievement test with the first cohort sitting the exam in the 2018-2019 academic year. Not accepted at this time. It aims to develop 21st century skills crucial for success in today's world: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So, now that we have outlined the core tenets of PEP, we realize that contrary to the proposition's argument, it is not about a broad brush pass or fail. It does not use percentage scores, but rather achievement level with scaled scores for each subject according to the National Standards Curriculum: beginners, developing, proficient, and highly proficient. The three components, a performance task, an ability test, and the curriculum-based test, are delivered over time at grades 4, 5, and 6 respectively. Contrast this with the more timely and comprehensive testing with the earlier common entrance exam, where you did all the tests in 1 day and GSAT in 2 days. Now, ladies and gentlemen, judges, my opponents, is PEP perfect? Definitely not. The crucial question is, will reducing the difficulty of the exam solve failures? I see a resounding no.
The first opposition speaker for representation, and we now call upon the second proposition speaker to provide a response. Here.
Before I start the basis of my argument, I noted that my worthy opposition's first speaker asked the question if reducing the difficulty of PEP will solve the problem of the failure rates. My answer to you is yes, it will. Upon observation of the grade 6 revision topics and achievement test for Jamaica, There are questions and paragraphs with context and cultural familiarity. Unlike the PEP mental ability and developing, questions are hypothetical with no adherence to principles of constructivism, no context, and lack of culturality. My question to you is, if the difficulty can be reduced with the proper context that is needed, why don't we do it? Moderator, esteemed judges, my worthy opposition, audience, good morning. This responsible government is here today not accepted to further solidify the mood that this government will reduce the difficulty of the PEP exams in light of high failure rates. As touted by our first speaker, the alarming failure rate is enough to get us to reconsider the current structure of the PEP examination, reduce it, and modify it to include more cultural-based items, more bodily kinesthetic, and psychomotor components to fit the Jamaican context. Moderator, it is in our intention to school our worthy opposition on the necessity of reducing the difficulty of PEP, especially as it relates to the structure of test items. The Ministry of Education replaced the Grade 6 Achievement Test with Primary Exit Profile in 2018 to 2019 academic year so that, and I quote, PEP will place emphasis on determining the extent to which students are able to use their knowledge of skills and context to solve problems. This is in line with Bruner's theory. However, ladies and gentlemen, I ask the question, without context, no adherence to principles of constructivism, how can we do so? Madam Moderator, panel of adjudicators, my worthy opponents, audience, what can go so? Now, like a doting teacher who carefully guides her students throughout a topic, so too will I. Let the schooling now begin. As there it is shown, it is now shown, we will now be moving to a higher proficiency. To turn to Appendix A, you will see test items from Singapore, Sweden, and Finland, which according to UNESCO 2017 are amongst the countries with the highest literacy and numeracy rates. Notice how the use of warehouses, which are common in the country, were referenced in their questions for students to have context to reflectively solve the problems given. Even though my opponents may argue that the assessments are higher level institutions, we are not comparing the grade levels. We are simply comparing how they utilize critical thinking as the key component of constructivism throughout their assessments. Unlike PEP, the ability test contains high-order topics such as verbal reasoning, analogies, arithmetic and geometric progressions, ordinal variable classifications for qualitative data, and even foreign language coding. These skills are not only high order according to Bloom's taxonomy, but probing our students' level of critical thinking as if they were in secondary or tertiary schools. Not taken. Piaget's stages of development informs us that grade 6 students are typically at the level of concrete operational thinking. Tragically, or preteens are being tested via PEP, as if they are to adapt to the formal operational level, which is traditionally used to examine inductive and deductive logic for teenagers. Frightening evidence of an ability test is further exemplified in the 2021 paper that contains analogies throughout questions 1 to 3 with similar difficulty to the postgraduate verbal reasoning test, an assessment used to matriculate students into U.S. university-based master's programs. Again, I ask you, what can go so? Paradoxically, Vygotsky's theory of cognitive development teaches us that a child's thinking evolves through interaction with a local, interactive, and stimulating environment. But foreign language coding shown in number 18 of the 2021 PEP Mental Ability Examination paper, is trumping context-specific Jamaican situations with an apparent shunning of Jamaican Creole. Members of the opposing bench, we wish to empathize with our nation's children and not condescend on them. To end class, honorable audience, the government sees Vision 2030 as achievable with a quality schooling and testing system. However, this PEP examination may be making our students go one step backwards and lament. On the grounds of equity in testing, we must have fair output of results to match the input of student diligence. PEP's difficulty questioning must be reduced so that all classes, colors, and races of a diverse Jamaica get an equal opportunity to shine. Class is now dismissed. I thank you.
Alright, so we thank the speaker for her presentation. We now call upon the second speaker from Team Opposition to provide their response. Hear, hear.
Testing. My opponent, the evidence is lacking. We are yet to hear the sources of your argument. We on this side of the house make informed decisions based on empirical evidence, not just the opinion from one person. If the difficulty of the primary exit profile examination is reduced, with the intended skills as stated by the Ministry of Education, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication still be acquired? Honorable judges, the argument itself, which proposed that the difficulty of the examination should be reduced in light of high failure rate, is one that is ambiguous. To the proposers, consider these two questions carefully. What specific aspects are deemed too difficult? And what specific aspects should we consider simplifying? Without clear answers to these specific questions, ladies and gentlemen, any proposed changes lack direction and purpose. As my first speaker outlined, I will address the E in PEP, that is, an exit from the primary to the secondary system. To do this, I will address two claims. Claim 1, the proposition reference to high failure rate contradicts recent data from the Ministry of Education. Claim 2, students' performances are affected by multiple factors other than exam difficulty. Let me focus on my first claim. My first speaker showed problem with the proposition use of terminology, but even more astounding is that no current data supports the proposition claim of high failure rate, number 9. The most frequently cited data to support poor performance of Jamaican students in the PEP exam dates back to 2019-2020 period, according to the Ministry of Education and Youth. From 2022 onwards, significant strides have been made. Note a Television Jamaica primetime news report on June 23rd, 2023, and I quote, exam results for the year, that is, 2023, are significantly better than they were when PEP was rolled out in 2018. 86% of students who sat the exam have been placed in their high school of choice. An article published by the Jamaica Information Service in 2023 entitled Improvement in PEP Exam Results outlines the result as follows. Quote, 57% of students have been classified as proficient or highly proficient in subject areas such as math, in comparison to 41% registered in 2019 on quote. For 2024 results, we can note an article entitled "My Opponent, Improvement in PEP Exam Result Not at this time" in Jamaica Observer dated June 21st, 2024, in which Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams cited several favourable results. Math score in the proficient or highly proficient area moved from 41 to 57%. Language arts, a 7-point increase, a 6-point increase in science. In social studies, they moved from 63% to 72%. Do these results reflect high failure rate by opponents? We have to know how to interpret data. Apparently, the proposition is using prior data. The ministry's more current data clearly demonstrate that there has been significant improvement in students' performances when comparing results from 2019 to 2024. The proposition has used anecdotes and their personal opinion. So in an attempt to dispute the data from Ministry of Education, thus proving our point that more research needs to be done, item analysis and post-assessment of the PEP exam before we should ever consider reducing the exam difficulty. My second point, one has to be careful in proposing a reduction in difficulty when multiple factors can affect students' performance. Since PEP started in 2018, we can cite the impact of socioeconomic challenge, agenda gap, females outperforming males, infrastructural problems with schools such as lack of resources, inadequate parental involvement, teacher migration, the need for greater investment in teacher training to produce more quality teachers. We can talk about the need for special education consideration that Jamaica is still far behind in addressing. STEM integration is a key element of PEP, but there is a lack of equity. Some schools have greater access to technology than others, and this necessarily affects outcome. So how then can reducing the difficulty alone solve these complexities? We are reasonable in our arguments. We accept that PEP is not perfect, but there is no reason to jump the gun, unquote, in reduction in the difficulty of the examination. Let me reiterate, we need evidence, empirical evidence, not just opinions, for such a major policy decision. The opposition awaits reviews and research on the PEP exam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second opposition from the College of Arts, Science and Education. Alright, now, ladies and gentlemen, we take an exciting part of our debate. It's the cross-questioning section. Just to remind our debaters, this is how it will go. Team case will get a period of 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I don't have to strain my voice. Alright, so I will hand this slide back to you after I've finished explaining how the section will go. We'll probably need somebody to move the line between the two teams.
Yes.
Or if we have more mics. We have
2 mics up. 1, 2. So then just keep one.
Yes, when it's your turn, you're going to take turns.
Alright, so this is how we're going to go. When we get in the case will have 5 minutes on the clock, and within that 5 minutes we'll ask questions. Each lasts for no more than 20 seconds. Once you ask a question, you give subject teachers college the opportunity to respond. Their response to each question will be limited to 45 seconds. Please note, anyone on the team can ask a question, and anyone on the team can answer the question. In fact, the answer can come from multiple persons responding to the same question. It just has to be limited to 45 seconds. The answer, that is. Alright, are we clear? So I'm going to now invite, once we signal that we start the 5 minutes, we will hand you the mic and we'll ask the question to you. Both teams need a mic, by the way.
Yeah.
So that once the question is asked, it can be asked on mic and the response given as well on that. Alright, so alright, so now we invite the first question from Team Case.
My opponents, I pose the question to you. How would reducing the difficulty of the exam ensure students are prepared for the challenging demands of secondary school?
Thank you for that question. So currently, with the structure of PEP exam right now, most of our students are still not prepared for secondary. They're getting developing and beginning. When they get to high school, that means they will need remedial attention. And with the current teacher ratio that we have, will they get that assistance? Why not lessen the difficulty of the exam to ensure that everybody can have a fighting chance in class?
My opponent, isn't it premature and irresponsible to propose a reduction in the difficulty without factual and current data to pinpoint where the difficulty with the PEP examination lies?
Alright, so we shared the same results over the time period, and the increase that we're seeing, in fact, we're dwelling on, is not a great increase. We're seeing a 3% increase, a 10% increase. That's no increase at all. That means that something is wrong. That means that we need to go back to the drawing board to see more than just a 60%, to see more than just a 70% pass, or 50%.
Question. Your second speaker stated that we are testing as if they are in secondary school. We don't start now. When do we start preparing them for the heavy task ahead?
Thank you. That is an excellent question. And my question is to that is, if we are given this level of difficulty at the primary level, where we're not even getting at the tertiary level, what exactly are we preparing them for? Because we are creating burnout in an early stage for the students before they enter high school, as my teammate would have said. When they enter into the secondary education system, they are unable to meet or produce the same grade that they would have gotten. So if they came with a 90% average, by the time they reach high school, they're not able to produce that quality of work, or the teacher is going to notice that the students are unable to complete basic tasks.
Thank you. No, sorry.
That's just for the answer.
Answer was,
My opponent, let me remind you that at the secondary level, the rigor of assessment for students is actually greater. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree and believe that it is harder. But why are we stressing or producing this mass expectation on our students when we know that they're already academically gifted and creating an imbalance between them? Because they are getting advanced mental ability tests with no sensory and cultural background and having to experience things that we're not doing in other countries.
So how then will a reduction in the difficulty of the exam prepare these students for the assessment at the secondary level?
A reduction of the difficulty of the PEP exam will indeed help these students to be better prepared for secondary school. Have you ever taken a look at some of these test items? Can you solve these questions? Some of the questions that they're giving these students, we would have come there in the NSC for the secondary level and not for the primary. The difficulty is great, and most of the persons who are passing, Is it that they had access to extra tutoring? Is it that they had access to extra lessons? Can every Jamaican child go and get these booklets? Can every Jamaican child afford these booklets? Can every Jamaican child pay for these extra lessons to ensure that they are adequately prepared? So if it is lessened, the difficulty is reduced.
Thank you.
My opponents, I fear you're missing the point. I fear you are focusing too much on the difficulties when we know that there are several systematic factors that lead to students not affording, not having books, not having availability to these lessons. Why are we then going to reduce the difficulty of the exam? It has nothing to do with that.
Excellent point, and I raise a question of this. You are noting that yes, there are hidden school costs or hidden school items that these students are going to need. Yes. But at the same time, how many students, how many parents are able to meet or assist with those? So we are now creating an imbalance. So those who are able to will get ahead, but we're not allowing for any social mobility for our students. So they are stuck in the same place and then you're left behind. So you are proposing that we should leave those behind who are not able to? Why not give them all of their chance?
Thank you. Thank you very much to Team Case for your questions and to Team Samsha for your responses. Samsha, it's now your turn to ask questions of Team Case.
When are we ready to start?
Alright, my opponents, you keep discrediting the definitions that have used for reduce and other terms. Are you saying that the Oxford Dictionary is incorrect as well? You are saying that there is negative aspects of the definition. When we're going through the dictionary, is there a positive meaning and a negative meaning? Or is it just one meaning that is stated for that specific word? It may be used in different contexts or different sentences.
Yes, I am saying that there are different meanings. There are two different meanings listed under the Oxford Dictionary, English Dictionary. The second negative connotation of the meaning is to reduce means to bring to a less or worse desirable state. And if that is what you are proposing we do to our PEP, how will the students manage the rigor of the next step?
Alright, immediately after my definition of reduce, I did say we're not asking for the bar or for the academic standards to be lowered, but rather for it to be placed at a height where children can reasonably reach it based on their developmental stages.
How do PEP questions promote critical thinking when they lack the very attributes of constructivism, which is promoting reasoning abilities, scenario-based, realistic, and have some amount of context that will get students to apply knowledge?
My opponent, it seems as if though you are yet to review the national standards curriculum, which make direct reference to students' involvement, the use of cultural relevant information to stimulate learning. So until you have revised the national standards curriculum, I propose that you ask the next question.
If you are to take a look at the 2021 paper as stated before in my speech, you can see where there are lack of context, lack of cultural familiarity with the questions. Questions 1 to 3 in the 2021 paper has questions that has geographical, logical thinking. My question to you is no. You stated that 57% have passed with proficiency and highly proficient. Why are those two together? What is the separations for proficient and highly proficient?
We're citing the data as per the Ministry of Education, not our own.
And it also shows that more research needs to be done on the PEP. And if more research needs to be done, we cannot jump the gun on the reduction of the difficulty of the PEP exam.
Okay, and the Ministry of Education, Pinto Williams, she did not say 57%, she said 60 because she did move 55% for proficient and the 5% for highly proficient. Why are we moving these two? Is it that she's trying to mislead us?
That's not for us to decide. What we're using is the information from the ministry.
Well, you did cite the incorrect information. She moved highly proficient and proficient. That's what I mean 60% in total.
Question?
Next question. You keep saying that the difficulty does not need to be reduced. So, if the PEP exam is so easy and so manageable, why are the passing grades so atrocious? Why isn't it higher? Are we going to wait until year 2027 to see the desired grades?
It seems that you have not been listening to our argument. What we are saying is that PEP is not perfect, but we as educators can't just jump the gun and reduce the difficulty on an examination. It requires research, it requires post-PEP assessment analysis, and until that is done, we do not support a reduction in the difficulty.
At no point in time did the proposition say that PEP was perfect. We are in agreement with you. What we are proposing is a reduction as per the vote. And as per the first speaker, closer to the end, she did say...
Question, please, not a rebuttal.
Alright, at the end of your speech then, seeing your proposal, you're saying that argument, why did you state that it is not that difficult based on increases, it does not need to be reduced?
What we're saying is that we need for thorough research and empirical evidence to be provided before the difficulty can be reduced. By simply reducing the difficulty, this does not remove the problems that you're arguing that we have with our educational system. Lowering the bar does not mean that our students will pass the exam.
Okay, so we're not asking to lower the standard.
Thank you. Indeed, I think that round of applause is very much deserved. We're now going to pause for 1 minute to allow you to refresh yourself, catch your breath, and calm down. At the end of the 1 minute, we will resume with the replies to first. Beginning with that from opposition.
Guys, you're talking too much.
That from team opposition, followed by the reply speaker from the proposition. Your 1 minute begins now.
Guys, I would encourage you, when a question is asked, please don't assist anybody. The judges are hearing where it's coming from and who it's coming from. Okay? And please, you're distracting them when you talk over them.
Thank you very much. We really have more time on fire. All right. And we are now ready to hear the reply speeches. At this time, I call upon the reply speaker from Team Opposition, representing the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. Let's make that speaker work. It's fine. And this speaker will speak for 5 minutes.
1 minute before the end of the 5 minutes.
Of course, no point of information are allowed in either of the two reply speeches.
Are you hearing me?
Yes. All the message.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of the debate and the proposition still has not addressed these prevailing questions. What specific aspects of the PEP exam do they deem too difficult? How did they arrive at the recommendation to reduce the difficulty? And what specific steps will this reduction entail? Most honorable judges, did you hear a response? I cannot help but be poetic. The crickets are chirping. From the proposition's corner, the silence is deafening. In the interim, let me note that we, the opposition, have used the acronym of PEP to coordinate our argument. My first speaker defined PEP's primary components in focusing on the first P in PEP. My second speaker discussed the E, the exit from primary to secondary school. And now, as the third speaker, my role is twofold. One, I will lead the rebuttal of the proposition's argument, and two, I will summarize our argument by reiterating all that my first and second speaker said into what constitutes the ultimate profile of the PEP student. Now to my first task, the rebuttal. The first speaker of the proposition struggled to define the key concepts of the mood, such as reduce and difficulty. This struggle was exacerbated when the speaker transitioned to address PEP and in the process misinterpreted its core competency-based functions with talk of failure rates. The proposition's second speaker cited that student anxiety and stress is the reason why we should be reducing the difficulty of the exam, and that this stress, this rigor of the exam is going to lead into the secondary level. My opponents, why do we continuously underestimate our primary school students? Why do we lower expectations? Why do we believe that they cannot achieve everything that a secondary student can? Let me quote a popular Jamaican phrase. You can bend the tree from his young, and when it grows old, you will not depart from it. My opponents, this we need to follow. We are not stressing our primary school students. We are merely preparing them for the stress and anxiety of the secondary school. My opponents, you also cannot build your argument from data relevant to the late GSAT era and early days of PEP while ignoring strides that have been made since that time. You cannot build your argument from public opinion or opinions from individuals you deem powerful. That is not how educational practitioners approach a discourse on difficulty. Indeed, you are teachers in training and should know better. You should know that thorough analysis of test items would be necessary in keeping with assessment principles. Far more review and research of the PEP exam is needed before we can consider any policy initiative to reduce the difficulty of the exam. Most honorable judges, the opposition's argument is consistent. In my second role, I can summarize these points. My first speaker outlined that PEP is not simply about passing or failing. By using categories such as beginning, developing, proficient, and highly proficient, the aim is to have interventions along the way from grades 4 to 6 to foster student competencies. Madam Second Speaker showed that the proposition is broad brushing difficulties. Consequently, they suggest that a reduction in the difficulty level will solve all problems when we know there are several systematic factors, namely lack of resources, parental involvement, teacher training and preparedness, curriculum development, which impacts student performance. Overall, lowering the difficulty only provides a quick fix and does not offer a long-term solution. So my opponents and honorable judges, we are honest enough to say that at this time, we do not have adequate research on PEP regarding the difficulty of the test items. Therefore, we cannot support the proposition's call for a reduction in the difficulty. Let us not be like men in the dark, struggling to grab onto something, anything to ground ourselves. Let us not point fingers and play blame game. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to put a PEP in your steps and address the root causes of high failure rates as opposed to oversimplifying the issue by reducing the difficulty of PEP exams. We, the opposition, strongly defeat this claim.
thank the opposition reply speaker. We now call to conclude our debate the proposition reply speaker. Here.
Moderator, honorable judges, esteemed opponents, ladies and gentlemen, this government has put forward solid arguments laced with undisputable facts on the failure rates of PEP and the difficulty of PEP items. These two to show why the PEP exam must be re-examined and restructured to ensure the success of our students. Honorable Chairperson and distinguished parliamentarians, my government is committed to providing education as a high-quality public good. In this commitment, the PEP exam must be revised as part of our social contract. My opponents have opined that 86% of students are passing and are matriculating to the secondary level. Are we simply drilling our students to exit primary school and complete secondary school? What about beyond? What about those who are not able to matriculate? Are they simply left behind to fall by the wayside? My government has demonstrated that the PEP ability test is too difficult, and the curriculum-based tests are actually alienating foreign, non-localized, non-relatable content. They have identified weak points and have asked us, what are we asking to remove? For example, the mental ability test, is that a part of the national curriculum? I can't seem to find it. I'm hoping my opponents can show me. Students have the ability. We have never said that they do not. Yes, we know students have the ability. We are simply asking for each student to be given an equal and fair path so that every child can learn and can successfully continue their education without the pitfalls that PEP is presenting. We never said that PEP is perfect. Far from it. We are simply saying, as it is too difficult and we can continue to expect high failure rates and low results. Is this what, as a society, we are accepting for our students? I would think not, as a teacher. And they have said in regards to the high rate, what about the remaining 14? With the choice of 7 high school, every child must have a chance. What about those remaining? That is the point that we're trying to drive home. My Prime Minister has transparently acknowledged a high failure rate with the need for our testing to reconcile with the national standards curriculum. My deputy has highlighted the case of the PEP exam being more localized and relatable for our students. We are Jamaican students and they need to be able to relate. When you include foreign or made-up languages, how are they able to demonstrate the purpose that PEP was created for, which is critical thinking and problem solving, if they cannot understand the content? The map is not mathing. The roadmap for dealing with PEP involves our Ministry of Education thoroughly liaison with stakeholders like the JTA, PTA, and our school to implement a reduced difficulty in the PEP exam. As a leading professor of curriculum studies, Dr. Rick suggests, there is a need to consult with our teachers, who are the prime role, the prime stakeholders in the learning, the teaching and learning process for our students. If revised, ability tests ensures that the curriculum-based test harnesses local Jamaican content to elicit sympathy and be more relatable to students. The government is ready to concede that there needs to be an improved PEP exam as part of our vision for 2030 mandate. If we do not change the PEP exam, we will subjugate our students and our children to foreign, alienating and frustrating school experiences. Let us not return to a colonial era in education critiqued by poet Olive Sr. By revising PEP, we avoid the mistake of having an exam that promotes nothing about ourselves, simply nothing about us at all. I thank you.
you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for an interesting debate contest. At this time, I invite you, all the debaters on the stage across the floor, shake hands in the spirit of this competition. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this the adjudicators will now depart to deliberate and return with the results. Thank you. If you can take a seat elsewhere until you return. back. And we have some information to share. Are both teams here? Yes. So we have Sam Sharp, right? Sam Sharp? Case? Audience? Yes. Alright, good. And if you are, please. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, I have been advised that I should not provide the information that you're waiting to hear, which is who won this match. I'm told that you're to be punished by being forced to stay here until the next match, and then you're staying. So I can tell you, right? I should tell you? Yes! No, I can't define my boss. But what I'm permitted to do is to give you a general overview of the debate, what went well, what could have been improved on. And so let's have that discussion. Thank you. So the motion that was debated had to do with this question of PIP, the primary exit profile, and whether or not it is too difficult, and whether the difficulty of it is what is contributing to the poor academic outcomes. First thing to note, when you get a motion, teams, if the motion says or implies that something is happening, then irrespective of what the real world evidence is, you have to take it for granted. In other words, if it is that every student in PEP was scoring 100%, there is no academic deficit. Because the motion says that in light of poor academic outcomes, then necessarily there is poor academic outcomes. Take that for granted. Where this debate takes place is in the realm of whether we solve that poor academic outcome, which may very be hypothetical, imaginary, whether we solve that by treating with the difficulty of PEP. And what does the difficulty of PEP look like? Team Sam Sharp tells us, they say PEP is voluminous, lots of information, and lots of high-level, technical, mind-bending information. They tell us that PEP also has information that is not contextually relevant, meaning this is Jamaica, and we borrow information from all realms of the world, and we foist it on the children, and the children are struggling. But more than that, they also give us some evidence, some percentages in terms of what the outcomes are with PEP. I'll speak to one of them. I think I heard 16% in terms of highly proficient and proficient. 60% rather, right? 60? Okay, I thought I heard 60. But in any event, they give us some information. They compare PEP results to common entrance and to GSAT. And they say, well, clearly the evidence is that we're not doing as good as we should. To which Team Case tells us, well, where is the evidence? Where's the evidence on two fronts? One, that we're actually doing poorly. Again, Case, the motion implies that we're doing poorly. Take it for granted and run along with the debate. They say to us as well that what is the evidence that the poor performance of students, assuming that students are performing poorly, is because the exam is too hard. Where's the evidence of that? They say to us that, well, PEP is fairly new, we still need data, we still need information. And I think that Sam Sharp could have done a better job at providing us with researched evidence, because it is out there, to tell us that yes, the information that is being provided to the students is too difficult for them, beyond telling us that assertively. Okay? I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, that information provided in a debate lacks validity because we don't get sources. Because you can provide information without sources once it is plausible. Yes? We think that if it is backed by credible sources, it enhances the validity and credibility of the information. But Case, it's is not to say that the lack of sources means that the information is not to be accepted. And so we have to credit Samsha for providing us with context and information and sort of analysis that we felt was plausible, although much of it was not backed by sourced information or evidence, or, it was not cited. Let's move on. We like the approach very much of team case. Team case does something quite strategic. They break down their speeches into PEP, primary, exit, and profile. Primary is about what is PEP attempting to achieve. And whether that PEP is trying to achieve greater levels of communication, collaboration, creativity, and what's the fourth one? Critical thinking. This is the best one for us, right? Because I think that's the best one. Critical thinking. So that's what we're trying to achieve from PEP. It's one thing, though, Case, to tell us that the exam is aiming to achieve these things. It's another thing to prove to us that it is achieving these things. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I could design a brand spanking new car and tell you that this car can fly, it can do all these amazing things, right? When you sit in it, you turn the engine not a soul, not a screen, it don't do anything, right? So is it that PEP is that beautiful car that when the salesperson is telling us that it will do these things, it will lead to greater communication, greater critical thinking, greater collaboration, greater, creativity. But then when we sit in the PEP car, it does little to none of those things. Yes? So telling us what it is designed to achieve is not enough. You have to prove to us that it is in fact achieving these things. And then of course we get the exit and the profile as well. In the exit part of their speech, we get the idea that, well, there are other factors, and I think Samsha would be foolhardy to disagree that there are other factors that lead to underperformance in the education system. Yes? I think Samsha agrees with that, right, Samsha? Yeah, it's not just the difficulty in exams alone. It's the fact that we have overcrowded classrooms. It's the fact that we have teachers coming out of teachers' colleges that are not trained well enough, right? They are not there. Teachers are not being trained well enough, right? But there are other factors. We lack resources. The technology in the classroom is poor. All of these things are major deficits that we have to grapple with. Yes? And so it's good for you to sort of itemize these things. What we felt we needed to do more of, Case, is to see how it is that, one, treating with these things will lead to solvency or an improvement in academic outcomes. And improve that by not just saying that it will, but tell us how it will. How does the provision of more technology, how does the provision of more accommodating classrooms that is nice and AC than pushing out in space, how is it that it's likely to lead to better educational outcomes? And unfortunately, we get that deeper explanation from Case. Okay? And so, ladies and gentlemen, in the final analysis, the debate was fairly easily decided by myself and my colleague adjudicator, Mrs. Easy. I wanted to give her a round of applause, by the way. It's the first time I've been adjudicating with her, and she's remarkable. She's really good. And so with that, with those thoughts in mind, I can't say no more, except to tell you that later on, at the end of today's proceedings, you'll hear the announcement as to the winning team. But I want to hear what you think. Do you think it's Sham Sham? Do you think it's Case? This is easy, it sounds like a time. Right? But she's not here. Alright. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to get ready now for the second batch. Thank you, teams. Very well done.
College and Monique College to take the stage. All right, give them a round of applause. Remember the proposing team on the right to my end. Debaters, we're going to be starting in about a minute or two. Thank you for your patience. No.
Colleague is here. So I'm going to give the proposition here.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Guys!
Let's try that again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That's much better. We are almost ready to begin. We're going to begin with the introductions. And I'm going to invite CTC, that's Church Teachers College, that's debating on team proposition, to introduce yourselves in the order in which you will be speaking. Please go ahead, Church Teachers College. And then you'll be followed by Monique College. Yes.
Good day, I'm Kimona Robinson of Church Teachers College.
Good day everyone, my name is Jordan Vaughn, I'm from Church Teachers College.
Good day everyone, I'm Okira Verma from Church Teachers.
Alright, thank you very much. And I see you brought out your family as Church Teachers College. Alright, let's suspect there's nobody else school today, right? Church? Alright, Mani, let's hear your names in the order in which you'll be presenting.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kevin Small. I'll be the first speaker for Money College.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Justin Bailey, and I'll be the second speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dante Kodem, and I'll be the third speaker.
We thank you very much for your introductions, and now it's my time to tell you exactly who I am. My name is Jeremy Barrett, and I'm your chair adjudicator for this competition, and specifically, well, for this match rather, and specifically for the competition, I am one of the chief adjudicators. So with me is a lovely lady sitting to my right, to your left, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself.
Good day, everyone. My name is Donald. Good day, everyone. My name is Donald, and I'm the chair of East Boston College, and I'm the coach.
All right, thank you very much. So with that out of the way, and I'm sure you're familiar with the rules. Everybody familiar with the rules and speaking time and signals and all of that? All right, let's get the show on the road. Let us now call upon the first speaker from Church Teachers College in proposition. Here.
All right, audience.
Well, before we have the first speaker's presentation, let us inform our audience of the motion. So I'm going to allow my colleague adjudicator to announce the motion.
The motion is, this House believes that educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy foods in schools.
Here.
Education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Through education, humans are able to gain the ability to improve their lives and contribute to the betterment of communities and the wider world, ultimately furthering social progress and driving meaningful change. Honorable judges, esteemed opposition, and valued audience members, good day. Today, we stand firmly in affirmation of the motion. This House believes that educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy foods in schools. The essence of this motion lies in recognizing that knowledge is a powerful tool for fostering lifelong healthy habits. Instead of adopting restrictive measures that could breed resentment or rebellion, we advocate for comprehensive nutrition education, equipping students with the necessary skills and understanding to make informed choices about their diets. To adequately understand the notion of the mood, definition of key terms is needed. The World Health Organization 2022 defines nutrition as the intake of food considered in relation to the body's dietary needs, simply meaning that other health factors such as anemia don't affect a person's individual diet. Therefore, what is good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. Unhealthy foods defined by the World Health Organization are food high in energy, free sugars, salt, saturated fats, and trans fats. Imposing according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary is to establish or apply by authority. Education, however, is the process of teaching and acquiring knowledge, skills, values, and enable individuals to to participate effectively in society, UNESCO 2019. These fundamental principles is why this House believes that educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy foods in schools. In my speech, I will address three key areas: the effectiveness of education versus bans, behavioral change through informed choices, and the implementation of nutrition models in schools. The Deputy Prime Minister will address actionable policies aimed at decreasing the price of healthy food options and increase its availability, as well as the effect of culture on nutrition. The third speaker will concretize and emphasize the importance of educating students on nutrition. Firstly, with the rise of childhood obesity and non-communicable disease among children, imposing bans on unhealthy foods may seem like a straightforward solution. But evidence shown in Jack Burn's reaction theory states that when a person's perceived freedoms they believe they naturally have, are taken away, they will have a reaction, whether good or bad. Therefore, banning unhealthy foods in schools could lead to resentment for authority and a dislike for healthy foods. When some kids are really restricted or feel deprived, they may go towards a tendency of hiding food, or when they do have access to those foods, they're overeating. Dietitian Jody Hall in an article by Today's Parents. When faced with prohibition, students may respond with defiance, seeking unhealthy options outside school settings. In contrast, education fosters understanding and acceptance. Through engaging nutrition lessons, students learn about the importance of balanced diets, the benefits of fruits and vegetables, and how to read nutrition labels. We also must note that the overconsumption of any food is unhealthy, hence the need for teaching moderation to students. The fundamental knowledge of nutrition encourages them to make healthier choices autonomously, leading to sustainable behavioral change. Not accepted. Secondly, education empowers students to appreciate the broader implication of their dietary choices. By understanding the nutrition accepted,
does education always result in discipline?
it fosters change, meaning that when you educate somebody, it is better to educate them than to enforce a ban which is limiting their choices. By understanding the correlation between nutrition and overall health, students are more likely to adopt healthy eating as a core value rather than viewing it as a chore imposed upon them. As not accepted, a study done by Lewis College found that a group of students who were educated about eating healthy and the impact of excess sugar made better choices, such as incorporating more fruits and vegetables rather than sugary drinks and foods in their meals, opposed to those who were not taught. This internalized motivation can lead to longer-lasting changes that extend beyond the school environment and even into adulthood. We must recognize that education is not about imposing guilt, but rather about fostering a sense of responsibility in students' choices regarding their food consumption. This government realizes that healthy food options in Jamaica are expensive and majority cannot afford them. It is our intention to therefore implement policies to decrease the price of these healthy foods and to make them more available. We also recognize that culture influences Jamaicans' way of life, including their diet. However, nutrition education can bring the required knowledge needed to cause a culture shift surrounding most Jamaicans' diets. This issue will be further explored by the Deputy Prime Minister. There are several ways to incorporate nutrition education in schools. Workshops and interactive demonstrations are an engaging way to bring the attention of students, to grab the attention of students while educating them. Schools can collaborate with nutritionists and chefs to host interactive cooking classes. Simple measures such as developing a school garden where students get the opportunity to grow what they eat is a fun way of teaching students about healthy eating. Additionally, schools can revamp their lunch program at their cafeteria to provide more balanced and nutritious meals. We can create a nutrition social media campaign by partnering with social media influencers such as Julie Mango, Every Royal, and as well as persons in the music industry. Broadcasting jingles on television and radio station is an effective way of promoting nutrition among young children, as it is catchy and easy to remember. For example, the Dirty Jamaica jingle. Changing students' consumption should come about through education and not by force. This government believes in permanent fixes rather than temporary solutions. Therefore, we assert that educating students on nutrition is a more effective long-term strategy than imposing bans on unhealthy foods in schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam First Speaker from Team Proposition. We now call upon the first speaker from the opposition team to present their arguments. Hear, hear. Of course, the proposition team, be reminded, is Church Teachers College and not Team Opposition, or rather, the opposition team is Team Manini College.
Good afternoon. I'm leading my time in 3, 2, 1. Team members, members of the opposition, judges, and my audience. Good evening. We, the opposition, stand firmly against the motion. This House believes educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy food in schools. Now, firstly, I would like to address some statements that were made by the government. They were very strong on empowerment through education, which, yes, can be important. But to be blunt, students in our schools don't only need empowerment, they require instruction. As we all know, the children are the future, and it is on us as opposition to do that, protect them. They also spoke about freedoms and power of choice. But we consider that students require special consideration rather than autonomy, which will be fleshed out this evening. Now, we, the opposition, would like to define a few key terms that were found lacking or unacceptable. A student. UNESCO states that a student is an individual who engages in learning, knowledge acquisition, and personal development, regardless of age, location, or educational setting. What does it mean to impose? Imposing, according to the Policy Dictionary, means to establish as something to be observed or complied with, while Finlaw Dictionary defines a ban as something prohibited or forbidden, especially by legal means, as by statute or order. I will be opening the opposition's case with two reasons for the opposition stance: immediate results and limited access to education. I will also give a brief outline of our HFIS plan of action for our support of the imposing of bans on unhealthy foods as a better solution. Firstly, the imposing of a ban on unhealthy foods is absolutely necessary for its immediate effect. The simple removal of access to unhealthy food will directly reduce the consumption of junk food in our schools. The alarming rate of child obesity and related diseases demands swift action. To be frank, our students are overweight, unhealthy, and also malnourished. They fall asleep in classes they can't even run in physical education. UNICEF's 2023 report shows that childhood obesity and overweight are growing concerns in Jamaica. 8.5% of children under age 5 are estimated to be overweight, with the prevalence of overweight and obesity increasing exponentially to 30% as they grow into the adolescent years. The report also shows that Jamaican male students are at risk as their rate of obesity doubled over the past decade. This is a serious concern, Mr. Speaker. While education focuses on long-term benefits, bans address the immediate need for a healthy environment, which our children so desperately need in order to live healthy lives. Mr. Speaker, not right now. The Heart Foundation of Jamaica outlines that Jamaica, like the rest of the world, has experienced a nutritional shift in which diets have changed from unprocessed or minimally processed foods to ultra-processed foods, many of which have high levels of added sugars, salt, and unhealthy fats. My opponents, the IAE, reports that obesity in childhood is a major risk factor for developing diet-related chronic non-communicable diseases, such as heart disease, diabetes, to name a few. Now, it is important to know that non-communicable diseases are reported to account for 80% of all deaths in Jamaica. Which places a significant burden on the country, its healthcare, and its infrastructure. We believe that by combining education with thoughtful restrictions, schools can foster a culture of wellness, empowering students to make informed choices and develop lifelong healthy habits. Imposing bans is also a more cost-effective cost-effective solution than relying solely on education programs, which require continuous investment in curriculum development, teacher training, and resources. Once a ban is in place, it does not require the same ongoing expenses as education programs. Combining bans and educating students on them and its importance is not a rejection of education's value in this motion, but rather a recognition of its limitations. A perfect example of this was the banning of sugary drinks and snacks in our local schools in 2019, which the catastrophic effects of these food items were weight gain, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Education alone cannot counteract the tempting allure of unhealthy options, and relying solely on nutrition education ignores the reality of impulsive decision-making. According to the National Library of Medicine, obesity not only affects a student's ability to do work, but also the development of their brain, which is now a brain health concern, which is detrimental to a student's education. It is also imperative to note that the World Health Organization has also reported that the consequences of overweight and obesity in school-aged children and adolescents also include a greater risk of asthma. By removing unhealthy choices, our schools will create an environment conducive to healthy habits. Secondly, we cannot rely on education alone because of socioeconomic disparities. Education may not reach all students equally. This is one of the more pressing concerns of the opposition, why we stand firmly against this motion. The government will fail to convince you that all students engaged in their proposal will benefit. A student at Stony Brook Primary School may not benefit to the plans of the government versus a student at Camperdown. Why, you may ask, those children in different environments may lack the access to certain resources, the ability, and the financial foundation needed to be educated successfully. According to UNICEF, students that are in environments riddled by poverty and its effects result in a less than desired participation, lack of progress, chronic underperformance, and in some cases even the failure to complete their education. This, Mr. Speaker, enforces the opposition's stance that education alone cannot be the solution to this long-term problem. We need results right now. We have to be realistic about this. Will the educating of students become effective immediately? No, it will not. Mr. Speaker, I will also speak about our plan, which is the HFIS policy, in which we educate our students on the need for the upholding of bans, the consequence of not implementing it, and also the benefits in which my deputy will further expound on. We, the opposition, aim to be transparent in our schools, so that we all are focused on what is important, which is our students' health. We aim to achieve this with the help of each community schools are situated in, the parents, and also the students. Our aim is to transform the worldview of students, not just being blindly instructed by their educators, but understanding why we institute these bans, how they help in keeping them healthy, and most importantly, the consequences if we don't have them in place. Mr. Speaker, in closing, let me offer this caveat. While the opposition is in favor of banning foods, we support educating students on why we have the bans and the importance of them. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. First Opposition Speaker. We call now upon the Deputy Speaker on Team CTC, representing the proposition side, to present their response. Hear, hear.
Imagine the entire population of Jamaica, every man, woman, and child. Now assume that population is made up of entirely of children under 5 years old, and each of them struggling with being overweight. Over 4 million toddlers across Latin America and the Caribbean are in that same situation. Now take that number and multiply it approximately 17 times. Almost 50 million children and teenagers aged 5 to 19 are all facing the same health, affecting our region, our future, and it demands our immediate attention. Honorable judges, esteemed opponents, and valued audience, good morning. As the second speaker for the affirmative, I will be focusing on 3 critical pillars, which are actionable policies, the importance of collaboration with schools and parents, and increased awareness and engagement. These points will strongly support our position that education on nutrition is far more effective solution than imposing bans on unhealthy food in schools. Before I get into my points, Mr. Opposition Leader still said that we should ban them to get immediate results. He also said that Jamaica implemented a no sugar in schools, and yet still the statistics are going upwards, which means the ban alone is simply not enough. Jamaica Moves, we've all heard of that, right? Is the bold initiative implemented in 2017 by our government to proactively tackle the obesity monster. The government had made significant strides to educate not just students but the public about healthy lifestyle. We, the government, are proposing to enhance the policies that the Ministry of Health has enacted to maximize the results. Without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, education is crucial for fostering lifelong healthy eating habits, but this must be paired with students' accessibility to affordable healthy food options. Therefore, we must remove one of the primary barriers to healthy eating, which is affordability, while also promoting a cultural shift towards healthier eating. In Jamaica, like many other countries, healthy foods such as fresh fruits, vegetables, etc. are often expensive than processed and unhealthy food options. To tackle this, we propose a policy to subsidize the production and distribution of healthy foods. This subsidy would target local farmers and food producers to encourage them to grow and supply more affordable, nutritious produce. And for example, we can use the successful models such as the Brazil Zero Hunger program, where the government buys the produce from smallholder farmers to supply schools with inexpensive, healthy meals. Not accepted at this point. Not accepted at this point. Jamaica can implement a similar approach, ensuring that most students and communities benefit from the reduced prices on healthy foods. Jamaica has a lot of small farmers around who will welcome this new income, right? In addition to subsidies, we propose offering tax breaks to retailers that prioritize stocking healthy shelf space to fruits, whole grain, etc. Would qualify for tax reductions, and indirectly, we're educating individuals outside of our school population about healthy eating. Which one of us would not relish the idea of a tax break? Come on. Thus, this incentive would increase the participation of business entities, business entities making the healthy options more readily available in local supermarkets and markets, particularly in the low-income areas. A powerful way to make healthy food more accessible while reinforcing nutrition education is through school gardens, and recognize school making significant strides with their farming initiatives could serve as a motivating factor for this proposal. Schools can encourage and create gardens where students grow fruits and vegetables to be used in their cafeteria meals. This hands-on experience would not only increase the availability, Mr. Speaker, but also provide students with practical knowledge about where food comes from and how to cultivate it. In the farm-to-school model, schools can purchase produce directly from the local agricultural farmers. In the United States, farm-to-school programs have been linked to better student health outcomes and increased fruit and vegetable consumption. Therefore, with Jamaica's favorable climate and available land, we can certainly replicate this success. Parental involvement can space our time for traditional, has the land space our time for traditional farming. Most have room for a single flower pot. Farming does not need to happen on a large scale, like planting callaloo and those things. These small steps can eventually lead to a greater achievement. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, with the creativity of our people, many parents and children will find ways to sell their produce. And as Jamaica usually say, encouragement sweetens labor. And this is exactly the kind of sweetness we want for our children to enjoy. Lastly, it is important to acknowledge the cultural factors that shape dietary habits. In Jamaica, as in many other countries, traditional foods are an integral to our national identity. Excessive consumption can pose health risks. Therefore, we will teach students about portion control and the importance of understanding food labels even at early childhood level. Schools should use jingles, as my Mr. Madam Prime Minister said, to make children aware of daily food values and portion control. We propose enhancing education and nutrition as a required course at all academic levels. This approach will show students and their families that healthy eating can be both fun and achievable when they are informed. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, we strongly believe that implementing actionable policies alongside nutrition education for both students and parents and encouraging greater engagement in healthy choices provides the most practical and effective solution to Jamaica unhealthy food education. By doing so, we ensure that students are making choices that honor their cultural identity. Educating children is like planting seeds. The lessons learned early take root and grow throughout their lives. This government now rests.
Thank you very much. Second, the proposition speaker. We will call upon the second, the opposition speaker to be taken.
I'll start my time in 3, 2, 1. Mr. Speaker, the proposition would have made some statements which I beg to rebut. They spoke about what is good for the goose is not good for the gander. But Mr. Speaker, what a foolish statement to make. In making education the better solution, when education may not reach all students, and as such, Mr. Speaker, we are not ruling out education, we're simply saying a ban is better, so we're able to protect vulnerable students who education doesn't reach. An unhealthy child cannot learn, and as such, education is not the better solution, but the ban is the best solution. The second speaker spoke about Jamaica Move as a proactive approach, but what about the statistics? Did it show where Jamaica Move has impacted obese children? Did it show where unhealthy children are impacted? Because most times, because of autonomy and temptations, these children are lured to go right ahead and have those unhealthy foods. Mr. Speaker, the second speaker failed to live by the motion as to tell us why education is better. All I heard was about agriculture, but nothing about education. Mr. Speaker, they spoke about cultural practices, and as such, because of cultural practices, education will not do enough to address these practices, and as such, lessen the availability of unhealthy foods is the better way to go. Judges, side opposition, debaters, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We stand firm in the motion, as my opposition leader would have stated. Mr. Speaker, I will prolong the arguments already presented by my opposition leader. Prohibition sends a clear message that unhealthy foods not accepted. Unhealthy foods are unacceptable, complementing education efforts. School nutrition policies addressing the food environment have previously demonstrated increases in fruit and vegetable consumption and reductions in sugar-sweetened beverages, unhealthy snacks, saturated fat, and sodium intake, published by the World Health Organization 2022. Mr. Speaker, our alternative to the government proposition is the Healthy Foods in Schools policy. Mr. Speaker, the first phase in our policy will provide a date in which this policy will be effective. So we will not throw the policy out there on these schools, but we will ensure that these schools have enough time to prepare for this ban that will come into place. They will provide adequate storage for these unhealthy foods, and they will be able to get rid of this unhealthy food just in time for the ban. In doing that, Mr. Speaker, we will ensure that staff are continuously engaged in town hall meetings and specific meetings to bring some awareness to our ban and how this ban will work. Mr. Speaker, by doing this, we will ensure that it gives us a solid foundation as to why banning unhealthy food is a better solution than educating students in nutrition. Now accepted?
So what do you suggest the persons who are creating these unhealthy foods? Because persons like Wesington and all those...
Too long. I'll further answer in my speech. Mr. Speaker, the second stage of our policy is that we will partner with several organizations to first substitute these unhealthy foods with healthy just to name a few. And it is important to know my proposition that these organizations would have already gone ahead to partner with Ministry of Health and Education to provide less sugar drinks in our schools. By this, we are ensuring that healthier foods will be more affordable to students and timely and available. Mr. Speaker, this will be beneficial to our students as it will improve students' health, and so we stand firmly in saying that imposing a ban will be a better solution than education on nutrition. Thirdly, we will build a relationship with communities and contributors to educate them on the importance of upholding this ban and the effectiveness of this ban. We will also explain how it will benefit us as a society. We will have workshops, town hall meetings to educate these individuals, bring some awareness to our policy and nutrition. Let us not forget, we will include our local farmers to ensure that our produce and healthy foods are brought into school. Not only that, the schools have farms. So what we can do is use the students to produce these. We have students doing poultry farming, we have them doing lettuce and tomatoes and stuff like that. Now, these produces will be presented to the school at a lower cost. And as such, low-income students would be able to fit in our policy. Breakfast programs will also be in our policy to enforce healthy food practices. Mr. Speaker, this will benefit the students as there will be an increase in academic performance and health habits. Hence, imposing a ban will be a better solution than education on nutrition. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the final phase will speak about fines and consequences. Principal authorities, they are the ones that signs off on these orders, etc. If this stipulation of our policy is not followed, they will be fined or be given some consequences. We will also ensure that representatives of the Ministry of Health and Education is in all our schools. Private schools will not be excluded. Sometimes we know that they have their own rules, but they are mandated to the stipulations of the Ministry of Education. Failure to adhere to these rules will result in suspension, termination, and fining. Mr. Speaker, as I presented my policy, and my first speaker would have laid it all out as to why banning unhealthy food in schools is ultimately the better solution than educating students on nutrition. As I conclude, let us think about our nation and our nation's children. It is already consuming Jamaicans that Vision 2030 will not be met. My people, let us think about what we are doing. Education does not always indicate discipline. And as such, Mr. Speaker, let us drive for our country to be more disciplined and inclined with better health practices. Mr. Speaker, banning unhealthy foods is the best solution than educating our students on nutrition. Thank you.
I thank the second speaker on to opposition representing Money College. We are now at that point in our debate where we engage in a bit of a conversation between the people. We will place 5 minutes on the clock. That 5 minutes will be allotted to team opposition. Team opposition will ask a series of questions, each lasting for no more than 20 seconds. After you ask the question, team opposition, CTC, will get a 45 seconds opportunity to respond. And then of course we'll alternate by asking another question, soliciting another response, and so forth, for 5 minutes. And then we will switch to team proposition, that's CTC. They'll get 5 minutes within which to ask you, Money College, questions as you have asked them. Alright, are we clear on the rules? Alright, so Mr. Thank you for?
Yes, you ready?
Alright, so I'm going to hand over the mic and then once you're ready, you will.
Ready?
Alright, thank you very much. We are now ready, so we call upon the first speaker from Monique College to ask your question. Well,
Yes.
any speaker actually can answer the question.
Yes, my question is to the government. How can education ensure that all students are reached when it has been shown that it's most effective in this matter?
Could you reiterate your question, please? I didn't hear.
How can education ensure that all students are reached when it has been shown that ban is most effective in this matter?
My response to that is what has shown that the ban is effective. There is nothing that you have presented so far that has shown that a ban is effective. And my thing is, if we are saying that we are in the profession of education and we believe that education cannot reach anybody, then I think that we are going in the wrong profession. So, we have, the Prime Minister stated it, the Deputy Prime Minister stated it, education works once the programs and the policies are properly crafted.
Time for your answer.
We will reach this.
Thank you for your response. So, to side proposition, how will education be monitored as it relates to healthy practices?
There needs to be no monitoring of education. Education is free for all. What needs monitoring is the programs and the policies that whichever governments in whichever territories will create to ensure that our students are getting the proper education on nutrition that will help them with the personal responsibility for their nutrition rather than imposing general bans that really don't do anything for the children themselves, especially when they seek to move further into life, because it's not just for childhood or for their experience within the educational context.
Okay, so my question is to you. Since you said that you don't need to monitor education, right? How will you ensure that the students, after being taught, they are following this, they are applying this education? Because you said it's not it doesn't need to be monitored.
Why do you want to catch the students? Why do you want to catch the children? Are they criminals? They're not. We cannot have our children being criminals to their own nutrition. We don't need to catch them and villainize them or turn them into criminals. They need to have personal responsibility for their nutrition so that when they are progressing, so the education is work. So that is how you know when they go into the supermarket, choose not to take up a sugary drink or choose not to take up a salty snack. That is how you know that education is working. So merely saying that we're banning that's not logical on the sense of education. That's not logical opposition.
Okay, on that answer, won't education focus approaches contradict school zero tolerance policies for harmful substances?
Can you repeat that, please?
Won't education focus approaches contradict school zero tolerance for policies for harmful substances?
No, you yourself said that bans are ineffective. You said bans should be implemented with teaching children about nutrition. How is it that we're going to tell students not to eat something and then we don't tell them why not to eat it? It makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, thank you for your... As it relates to cost effectiveness side proposition, would it be easier to implement a ban which is general than to go through processes of teacher training, resources, etc.?
So our children's health should be measured by how much money the government can afford to put into it. Our children cannot be replaced. Therefore, it is not a matter of monetary contribution or how much money is going to need to implement these policies. We cannot just look at nutrition, educating children at nutrition from a narrow point of view and look at it as a short-term effect. When they leave school, after school, and they have these snacks to go to, how is it that nobody's stopping them and telling them that they cannot eat it sometimes at the school gates?
Additionally, if you were listening to my speech, Mr. Second Speaker, I directly stated some points in which we can reduce the cost of it.
Time for your answer.
Okay, thank you for your response. So you said that cost wouldn't be of utmost importance. My question is to you, how will you continuously develop the programs or the educational programs without implementing costs?
Thank you very much. We go now to CTC to hear their questions posed to Mani. Here.
So let me start with a simple question. The one that you declined in the middle of your speech. What would you do for the big companies that make this unhealthy food? Should they just go out of business?
As stated in my speech, we would only have contracts with companies that are agreeing to our policy, so that we ensure that we have healthier foods in our schools. So we would not go to the company that would make our children give our children unhealthy foods.
So pretty much you're going out of business?
No, we are not. We state companies that are able to agree with our policy and also enroll in our policy to make sure that we ensure that every child is healthy.
So what happens to the one that don't agree with the policy?
Then they are just not in our policy. Simple.
So they just go out of business? So,
all right, so my question is, what evidence do you have to demonstrate that the bans, in the context of the school system that you have implemented, what evidence do you have to say that they are working or have worked?
Can you state the question again, please?
What evidence do you have to demonstrate that the bans in the context of the schools that you have implemented, that those bans are working?
Okay, in our speech, we have given examples of when we had banned sugary drinks and snacks in our schools. We have seen a major increase in students being healthy and more physical in our schools.
You yourself said that the rates of obesity are even higher. So you're contradicting yourself there.
We said the rate of obesity.
Don't make comments to the past question.
Since your first speaker is so sure that educating students on nutrition will not work, what is the difference between teaching children nutrition and teaching them, let's say, math?
Alright, I find that as a foolish question. But my opposition, I say to you that we're not ruling out education. We are saying a ban is better than educating our students. So students are still there for their education on nutrition. But what we're saying, we are imposing a ban which will be better than just only education and nutrition. We're giving them a reason why the ban is better and how will this ban be beneficial to our students.
So how is it beneficial to us?
We stated that you are asking how will it be beneficial? We said, okay, for academic performance, a hungry child cannot learn. Portia Sixibida stated that people can learn from everybody. And of course, when we are more healthier, we are more focused, we eat our nutrients, our vitamins, our academic performance are increased and our standards of academic are high.
You stated that mere education would not work because students need instruction, right? However, your definition of imposing states that it is something that is forbidden, sometimes by law. Then how is ban in that case instructional?
So ban is instructional because if it is that you're in a classroom and a teacher gives you an instruction and says do not pick up that piece of paper, that is the instruction. A ban is that this is prohibited from our environment. So nobody goes against that policy.
They don't have any more questions.
All right, thank you very much for that scintillating round of questions and answers. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe they both deserve a round of applause. Very well done. At this time, we will pause for 1 minute to allow you to refresh yourselves, calm your brains, and get ready for the reply session. Your 1 minute begins now. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1 minute has elapsed, and it is now time for us to continue to the conclusion of our meeting. So, may I have some silence, please? So at this time, I call upon the reply speaker from Team Opposition at Smith College, speaking for 5 minutes. Please be reminded, debaters, that no points of information are allowed during the reply speeches.
Yes, the final speech.
Team members from the opposition, members of the opposition, judges, and the audience. Good morning, good afternoon. We have this house believes educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy food in schools. Before diving into our arguments, we will address some statements made by the government. First speaker. Schools shape food environment and habits. For example, overeating wouldn't be banned with the addition of education creating a healthier food culture within schools. Second speaker. Your stance on jingles to impulsive buying highly doesn't spell sense as jingles would only attain to children as an entertainment but limiting the access of these unhealthy food. They introduced a policy about health produce but did not state how we stop the circulation of unhealthy foods to our students. They also spoke about parental involvement, but we must consider parents who may not be attending to their children's daily needs. We must ensure that all stakeholders are included as the government's approach risks leaving some at a disadvantage. Lastly, the government has made a weak attempt to convince you that educating students on nutrition alone would be sufficient. While we agree that education is important, it is not the best solution for this specific and pressing issue. We as the opposition will shed light on why a combined approach is necessary. Mr. Speaker, let us look at further of our nation or now we'll outline our main argument. Immediate effects of bans. We argue that imposing a ban on unhealthy food is essential for its immediate impact on reducing consumption. Citing alarming statistics from UNICEF, we highlight that childhood obesity rates in Jamaica are on the rise, with 8.5% of children under 5 estimated to be overweight, escalating to 30% among adolescents. While education may foster long-term benefits, the urgent need for healthier environments call for immediate action through bans. Previous success, such as ban of sugary drinks and snacks in schools, demonstrate that education alone cannot compete with the allure of unhealthy choices. Moreover, obesity can hinder students' academic performance and brain development, underlining the importance of a supportive environment for fostering healthy habits. Socioeconomics. Our second argument focuses on the unequal reach of education due to socio-economic factors. Students from disadvantaged backgrounds often lack the resources, support, and opportunities necessary for effective learning. Citing UNICEF data, we illustrate how poverty affects the academic performance, reinforcing our stance that education alone is insufficient to address the issue of unhealthy food access. We propose a comprehensive policy that combines the banning of unhealthy foods with education initiatives promoting a culture of wellness in schools. This approach aims to inform students about nutrition while also implementing necessary restrictions to foster healthy choices. In conclusion, we clarify that while we advocate for bans on unhealthy foods, we recognize the importance of education in shaping informed choices.
Thank you very much. The class speaker representing Mani College, team opposition. We now call upon our final speaker in this debate, the reply speaker from Church Teachers College, representing team proposition. Here.
Adjudicators, debaters, and members of the audience, good afternoon. This honorable house, we have been debating the motion. This house believes that educating students on nutrition is a better solution than imposing bans on unhealthy foods in schools. I will consolidate and refute points raised by the opposition while reinforcing our arguments with evidence-based support. The refuting. Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition has been telling you that bans are effective and they work, and we will devise policies that will combine education with bans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition has proven our point that education works. This is a value-based argument. This is not, some argument about pragmatism. It is a value-based argument. And yet, the opposition has still banned sugary drinks in schools, but yet the statistics still shows that obesity is on the rise, that non-communicable diseases are on the rise, but yet their bans are working, or, in the context of the motion, are a better solution than education. Well, it's just not working for them. So in the context of the conversation, which is more valuable, education or bans? Well, side government is saying that education is the more valuable approach because education ensures that the students within the context of our schools, and understanding that our schools are not just isolated institutions, but they are interacting with different entities or social organizations within our society. We must understand that within our schools, the education is necessary to develop the nutritional understanding and for students to understand what they are consuming, rather than just taking information back from their parents by saying, oh, you should not eat this, or oh, you should not eat that, or your schools completely eradicating certain foods does not give them the autonomy and the ability to make conscious decisions in regards to their nutrition. I utilize this analogy, ladies and gentlemen. If the child goes into a supermarket, what the opposition is saying is that the ban would only see water in the fridge in our supermarket. The only thing the child has to drink is water. But in the context of constructive education, where our children understand the value of healthy foods and consuming healthy food, when they go in a supermarket, they will see both unhealthy drink and water. What will they choose based on the value of education to them? They will choose water because the education has proven to be effective. And opposition made a statement that we have to use bans because education can't work for everybody. Well, if you are coming into this profession and you don't believe education works, you do not belong in this profession. Ladies and gentlemen, education is the approach that liberates our students. It is the approach that draws them and engages them in the intellectual processing that is necessary for them to make conscious and meaningful decisions in the interest of themselves now while they're students and in the interest of themselves when they become adults. So, what we are saying on this side of the argument is that the opposition also overlooked the cultural sensitivity and inclusion of education. But it's just a facade that they're putting up because I think they're good teachers and they know that education works. So, what we are saying is not a conversation about healthy food or unhealthy food, it's a conversation about education versus indoctrination or imposition. We are saying that education offers students the knowledge, skills, and responsibilities. The responsibility to make informed decisions about their health, and not just inside of the context of school, but throughout their life. It addresses the root causes of unhealthy eating habits and the unintended consequences of bans, and promotes a holistic, cultural, sensitive approach to health and nutrition. And it is with these reasons that the government has duly won this argument.
Thank you very much. Proposition reply speaker. Thanks to all our debaters. At this time, I invite the debaters to cross the floor in the spirit of this great competition. Shake hands. At this time, we will leave to deliberate and think. It's now lunchtime. You can see here to lunch, and we will have a lunch, and then we will come back for the board education. Oh, we're finishing everything and then lunch. Alright, that's actually better.
Yeah,
we will be back with you shortly.
Just give us a few minutes. Yes.
Yes, you may exit the stage.
spectator for the final announcement from our adjudicators. After that time, we are going to be giving you, as a matter of fact, as soon as our organizers are here, we're going to be giving you some instructions as to where you will go for lunch. I'm not sure if your team or your extra persons would have made arrangement with the college prior to coming here. For those persons that are not on the team, for your supporters to make arrangement for lunch, I would expect that you had. If not, we have lunch for sale at the Talk Shop. So you can talk to your teams and your supporters and tell them to go there if you have not ordered lunch prior to coming here, because I think they work with numbers. I know for sure though that the members of the debate team will be provided with lunch, of course, and their coaches. But our organizers will be here shortly to just clarify that with you. So to make it a little bit more expedient, we are just waiting for the other room to come over, then we do our wrap up. After the judges announce the results, then we'll just move to lunch. Yes, students at the cafeteria, and I think their coaches and special guests will go to the boardroom for lunch. So I will wait on Ms. Yone Donald, our person on the ground, to come over with the team.
Thank you. May I invite teams up here and back on stage? That's Church Teachers College and Money College.
Bro, what was your name? He's here. I'm here. He's just up here talking about the last.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, I will now give a brief report on the match that just took place in this room. The match that took place in this room had to do with whether we should approach issues of unhealthy foods in schools using education, or should we institute a strict ban? Of course, Church Teachers College argued in favor of education, and Money College, their arguments were in favor of a strict ban. What transpired? We got argumentation from Church Teachers College about the utility, the efficacy, and the relevance of education, how education, philosophical and foundational, is useful in changing human behavior. And we got some ideas of mechanization as to what exactly we should be doing. We should be infusing it into the curriculum. We should be establishing school plots where students can grow their own produce and so forth. And of course, we should be engaging with the manufacturers of unhealthy foods to get them to cease and desist that practice. Yes? Those are primarily the three tenets of Team Proposition's case. Opposition tells us that the education system is dysfunctional, that education doesn't take place very well in the education system because it is challenged with a lack of resources and the very myriad issues that exist in education. And they say because of this, what we need is a twinning of education and strict bans to ensure that we get the kinds of efficacies that we are seeking. Two things to note. Firstly, when we get a motion that puts two approaches, education in this case versus a ban, we're expecting a debate where one side argues strictly in favor of education and the other side argues strictly in favor of a ban. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't concede somewhat that the alternative has some utility, but the vast majority of your speech should be devoted to defending the thing that you're supposed to defend. So in this debate, we wanted to hear arguments about education and its efficacy in ridding us of the challenge having to do with unhealthy foods in our schools. And we think that Team Proposition does that to a very good extent. We think, on the other hand, that there was a major challenge from Team Opposition, that's Money College, where they sort of combined and created a kind of a model that employed both approaches. We think that that was not a part of the burden that they were supposed to bear, and we think that, want to caution you against that in future debates. So strict to your position that's been assigned to you as per the motion. Other things that we also want to comment on as I get ready to turn the microphone over to my colleague adjudicator for his report is the matter of the reply speeches. We felt that there is a lot of need for improvements in how we do reply speeches in this competition. And we know it's a kind of a new thing, we're more familiar with the rebuttal approach, right? Where you say he said and she said and they said and that's why we should agree with what they said in a kind of a responding approach. What a reply speech demands is for the speaker to deliver a succinct overview of the debate, highlighting what we call major clashes. The clashes are thematic questions that establishes a difference or a distinction in opinion, or a divergence rather, of opinion between both sides. Yes? So in this debate, we could have had a clash, for example, will education be at all effective in ridding our schools of unhealthy foods? A question like that. Fairly neutral. And then we move from that to have the speaker analyze the clash, referencing the arguments that came prior, and tell us why it is that their argument on their side wins each of those clashes that they would have identified. For those of you who observed the debate, you admit that we didn't get that kind of a structured rebuttal approach. Final thing, we like to hear mechanisms, approaches to solve problems. We like to hear them explained, and we think we got fair explanations in this debate. What we needed more of was some real-world examples as to where either those mechanisms or similar mechanisms have worked to achieve the kinds of successes that you claim you would achieve. And certainly in the case of both teams, actually, we needed to hear more of that. That was not as forthcoming. So that is the end of my report. I'm going to now turn over to Joshua Atkins, Deputy Program Manager for the Secondary Division in Jane, who will give his report. Joshua.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alright, so necessarily, the motion that was debated was between Bethlehem Moravian College versus St. Joseph Teachers College. And the motion was, this house believes that dancehall music is a major contributor to violence in schools. Now, we get this characterization sort of from proposition talking about how music plays into the psyche of individuals, human beings, and how they portray that in schools. Now, let us talk about the technicality of the motion. It calls for more so like mechanization of what major looks like, and in as much as we don't get a characterization or a mechanization of what major looks like in the world of proposition, we felt that it was left to interpretation right throughout the debate. Now, opposition comes and tells us, well, we don't think it is major. We think dancehall music reflects the status quo, and we think it is what is happening in society that, is being broadcasted in dancehall. And so we don't see how, in the absence of dancehall, the issues of violence in schools will substantially or to a major extent decrease. Right? Now, proposition says to that, well, we think it is an amplifier and not necessarily, we think it is an amplifier. Now, to call out proposition on that, opposition says, well, an amplifier does not mean a quantification of what major is. So in as much as you don't quantify to us the major harms, the major impacts, we don't think that that is a reasonable position to say it is an amplifier. Right? And in the context of the debate, we felt that the strongest arguments came out of opposition in as much as they quantify to us how, well, not quantify, but they describe to us how correlation does not equal causation. And to get into that in the debate, proposition made many claims, and I think opposition did the same thing by saying, well, we see 68% of students agreeing that dancehall music is bad. We don't think that that is a sufficient justification as to why dancehall music impacts or fuels violence in schools to a major extent. And so we just couldn't buy that in the face of the myriad of rebuttals that come out of side opposition, right? But more than that, so more than that, we get from opposition that we see other issues that fuel violence in schools, such as the absence of role models, peer pressure, bullyism, the impact of poverty on students, so on and so forth. And we think in as much as they quantify the impacts of those factors and how it contributes to violence in schools, we think that that was a much more substantial point of argumentation in the debate. Right? And next thing, when we're talking about statistics, statistics don't win you a debate. Right? You have to do much more analysis into certain issues rather than just say, well, 68% of students agree that dancehall causes more violence, and that means it causes more violence. Right? So that was the general overview of the debate.
Give him a round of applause. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call on my colleague adjudicator, the one who judged with me in match number 1 in this room. That's the adjudicator from CTC. Yes, all right, well, we're going to ask you some questions. But before I do, I'm going to announce from my match, the match that just ended between CTC and Mani College, the scores and the winners. Yes. For those of you who witnessed that match, do you think CTC won? Yes! Not very strong. Do you think Mani won? Yet another time. Ladies and gentlemen, the scores are as follows. The winning team ends with 273 points. To the second place team's 248 points. The winner of the match between Church Teachers College and Mani College is Church Teachers College. The best debater in that match, not sure of the name, but I know the position. So I'm going to ask that speaker. I will not be influenced, audience. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, the best debater in this match is from the winning team. The second debater. Second debater. Allow Joshua to announce one of his match, and then he will throw it back to me to announce the second match. What was my first match?
Alright, so the match that I judged first was between Shortwood and GC Foster College. The winner of that match was the team on the campus hour. Who's the GC Foster? Who's the Shortwood? I don't like that interaction there. We're not going to do that again. Who's the GC Foster? Who's the Shortwood? Well, unfortunately, the winner of that match was Jane. Alright, so the winner of the match was actually GC Foster. And the best debater of that match came in the person of Zane Watson.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 more results to announce. May I have your attention? Settle down, calm down, breathe. No, ladies and gentlemen, in the first match in this room, we had a contest between Samshar Teachers College versus CASE, that's the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. And in a ding-dong match that ended with the winning team concluding with 259 points to the second place team's 256 points. What? Yes. I wonder if it is CASE that won. You think it's Samshar? Well, let me just remind you as to what the debate was about. It was about PEP and whether or not we should reduce the stress and strain on our children, the difficulty of PEP in order to enhance academic outcome. Yes, and the winner of that match between CASE and Samshar Teachers College is Samshar! debater comes also from Sapshar. It's the second speaker, the second debater. Alright, thank you very much.
Alright. So, for the match that I just adjudicated, BMC versus St. Joseph's Teachers College, the winner of that match was St. Joseph Teachers College. The best debater came in the person of Latanya Cohen.
Alright. I think everybody's happy. Whether you place first or second, you're happy, right? So, or one person is not happy. I'll talk to you on the outside. But ladies and gentlemen, may I just have your attention, please. I just want to put on record my own appreciation for what the teachers colleges of Jamaica is doing to have partnered with Jade to establish this great competition. Do you agree that that's something worth applauding?
Yes.
Absolutely. And for the teams who placed second, I know you are disappointed, but I want to give you my own commitment that the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment loves you all and wants to work with all institutions to build a strong, powerful community of debaters across Jamaica. So, I want for every single teacher who's here to come to me and give you a little card so we can keep in touch, alright? And let the competition continue and let us reflect on how it is that all that we have learned, how we will transfer those bits of information to the classroom. Because that's fundamentally what we're about doing. We're educators, we're about transforming Jamaica through education, right? Right, ladies and gentlemen? Right. Alright, so thank you very much. And please, all of you who are staff members here, coaches, come to me. I have a card for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Just give me 2 minutes of your time. We are going to go for lunch now. Give me 2 minutes of your time. All right. Thank you very much. I just want to say thanks to Dr. Anderson, the Dean of the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica. I'm not the one doing the vote of thanks, it's the MC. But as the coordinator, along with Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, shout, and also our representatives from TCJ. Today is our birthday. Please, can you sing happy birthday for us?
Yes!
1, 2, go! Happy birthday to you. Look at the video. Look at happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lord. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. So now, listen, people. You are all winners. What I saw today, I know that in the next 2 years, Jamaica is going to be a different country.
Here, here.
You know why? This is a domino effect. As teachers, now that we know that we don't have to cut one another when we argue, so we are going to now do what? Translate this behavior in our classrooms. And then before you know it, our students, we do what? We copy, and we are going to scaffold it in our classroom. So I am looking into a future that by 2030, this country will really be a place where we want to live, work, amen. All right, without much ado, we are going to draw now so that we will know. Remember, the semi-finals will be on Monday. The time getting shorter and shorter. And then those that will qualify, after that, the finals will be on the 31st. All right, Mr. Bedford, you are here, sir. So we are now calling on you, sir, to come and draw. Thank you. GC Foster, listen, I love the hospitality. Can you clap for GC Foster? I love the hospitality, and I know that by just saying this, they are going to double my lunch. All right, Mr. Bedford, I say I love the hospitality, so you are going to double my lunch. Thank you very much. We love you. We love you. We will wear the same. So, sir, yeah, you are going to draw now. So, to know which college will be hosting us on Monday.
No, you just
so, sir. Tell us.
She's sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, so
Monday.
On Monday?
Yeah.
So Monday of next week, which will be the 28th of
Yes,
October.
Sir. At 10 a.m. Semi-finals.
Semi-finals. Well, you all will be traveling to the corporate area. So, is there anybody here from St. Joseph's Teachers College? St. Joseph's Teachers College will be hosting the game. So, on the 28th, all roads lead to St. Joseph. Now, together for St. Joseph. Thank you, St. Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Bedford. So now we are going to invite our able MC to round up the session and to show us where to go for love. Please give it up for our able MC. And she will do the both of them.
I love it. I thought we just got a new MC. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up again for the TCJ Debate Compition. Thank you very much. No, man, you have to do better than that. There should be no sad faces because you all did well. Isn't that true? All right, so we're wrapping up now because I understand that you are very hungry. So I want to thank you all again for coming to GC Foster, and we were equally eager that we were able to host such a very, very auspicious occasion. Now I want to quickly thank all the teams for their spirited debate, right? Spirited debate. I would like to invite you to give another round of applause for our adjudicators. All right? I want to thank you very much for ably adjudicating this debate competition. Secondly, I want you to give a big round of applause to our coaches. They deserve your applause. All right? Thirdly, we want to give another round of applause to the committee, the TCJ Overall Debate Committee. Give them a round of applause. Fourthly, I'd love to thank our team. You all did very well, and you all deserve applause. Do it for them. Come on. Last but not least, the principals, the vice principals, the students who traveled to support their team. We thank you so much. Give yourself a hand. At this time, we are going to so now we're going to be drawing the next matchup.
Yeah, come, Jay. Yeah, come, yes. So the first two that you take, we play, and then the last two.
All right, so while he gets here, after I leave, our able in-house coach will give direction. Miss Yone Donna will come to the podium to give directions for lunch.
Okay, so the fixture is Sam Sharp versus CTC. Yeah. Of course, the next one is St. Joseph versus G.C. Foster.
And ladies and gentlemen, because we want to give you an opportunity, generally speaking, to both propose and oppose throughout this competition, we'll have to just look at what role you played in this round, and then as much as is possible, we'll flip the role for the next round. It might not be possible because the fixture could have two proposition teams being in the fixtures for the semi-finals. If that is the case, then we will just flip the team whose name ranks higher alphabetically. Alright? So that's the rule. I hope everybody understands.
Yes.
I know nobody calls me after and says, sir, we're proposing this match, and then we'll propose again, alright? So please. So we'll take a little time to get that sorted. We'll also send you information regarding the motion that you will be debating later on. Okay? We know that you don't have a lot of time, so please monitor the WhatsApp group. As soon as I get to the Tessie will forward it to you. And hold on, why people talking? Hello? Thank you. So once Tessie drops the fixtures in the WhatsApp group, then I expect that you will start prepping almost immediately. Because when do we have the next matches?
Monday.
Monday. Where?
St. Joseph Teachers College.
What time?
10 a.m.
Alright, good. Thank you very much.
Yes. So the direction for lunch.
Thanks again, once again, thank you for coming to GC Foster. It's lunchtime. So we are going to be, at this time, inviting our VPs, our coaches, and our adjudicators to the boardroom for lunch. And the rest of students will proceed to the cafeteria for lunch. Can we say grace, please?
Grace.
For health and strength, and ladies